welcome to this new cacao ritual with me. My name is Manon. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, but I also guide women through trauma healing, through lifestyle changing, through Dharma, and through cacao and ceremony in general to find their most radiant self. So if you want more of that, please subscribe to this channel. I love to offer you those rituals because I know how hard it is as a mom to find time and space for connecting to ourselves, connecting to some form of divine. And I was struggling myself at the beginning of my mothering journey to find those moments in space. And at some point I just kind of gave up on finding those times, even though I tried to create like tiny moments like this. And it was so hard on myself, so hard on my soul, so hard on my spirit. So I want to encourage any mom who feels a call to connect to their own divine self to do so as many times as possible, as much as possible, because I believe that that's how we can serve and that's how we can be even more present and nurturing to our families and especially our kids. And today's topic is going to be about self-love. I know how mainstream that term can be and how small it is, but I want to give it a way more holistic view here, and we're going to talk about this a little later. But what you're going to need today is, of course, your cacao. And if you don't know how to prepare your cacao, where to find ceremonial cacao, I'll link a video where I explain you everything about this here in this corner. And I have flowers, because really flowers for me are about, especially for as a woman, self-love, and especially for me because I love flowers. I never thought I would. I didn't think I was a flower girl, but I ended up being one. I have honey because it's a symbol of sweetness, of nourishment, of gold. It's made by animals that that inspire me a lot, bees. But you can have anything that reminds you something that is nurturing for you. I have a jar of water because water for me is very loving as well. I've got a heart that I made with cacao, rose, and a rose quartz, which are all related to the heart and to love. And we're going to talk more about this. I've got, of course, a candle, my journal if I want to journal later, and you will find under this video a PDF accompanying this video with journal prompts if you want to go deeper in your practice. It's all free, so go check it out. What else do I have? I have an oracle deck. It's totally optional, but if you want to pull up a card around self-love, and I'll give you some example of how to use it as well during this ritual. I've got a bowl because I'm going to use it during the ritual, but that is totally optional. And I've got some sort of oil. So for me it's a roll-on, so it's easy to apply, but any type of oil or ghee, anything that you can use on your skin, because we're going to moisturize your skin today. So I'll get this with me on my altar. And again, I know how hard it is as a mom to show up with that much around me. I'm lucky right now to be able to do this with you because my family is taking care of my child. But if it's not possible for you that day because you have kids around or you have a lot to do, feel free to shorten this practice and just have maybe a candle, maybe something that reminds you of love, reminds you that you deserve that love, and that's it. That's all you need, and your cacao. Don't make it more complicated for yourself. Here I have the space and time to do that, but if you don't, feel free to just simplify it so that you still have this moment for yourself. That's the most important. Oh, and I also like to recommend you to have some sort of water or tea or herbal tea with you to hydrate, because as a mom it's so important. We forget to do that, especially when we're breastfeeding, and cacao can be a little dry on your throat and mouth, so feel free to have some water handy. That can be useful. And without further ado, let's get started with this ritual. So to start, I'm gonna add some honey to my cacao because I like it sweetened, but if you like it raw without anything added to it, feel free to skip that step. I added some cinnamon, cardamom, pink pepper, salt. I think that's it. I think that's all I added to this one. And I'm gonna add some local honey that I have here. Please choose some natural sweetener, some sweetener that is good for your body, and honey is one of them. It's truly a very nourishing sattvic substance, as we say in Ayurveda, which means that it helps give more clarity and light to your mind. And I'm gonna start today talking to you a little bit about self-love, and especially about my vision of self-love. And before that, go ahead and grab your oil or your cream or whatever moisturizer you have. I'm using a very beautiful oil that is handmade with sacred cacao, which I simply love. It's been gifted to me and it smells delicious, and it's totally on point with what we're doing right now, because it's literally what brought me to tiny habits of self-love, where I would just pull this out of my bag while driving for a long distance, for example, and just have a moment of moisturizing my skin, which is so simple, but it was so nourishing to me because of the smell, because it's a beautiful object, because there's a gem on it, whatever makes you feel more loving towards yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and moisturize my hands. If you want to do your face, your neck, feel free to do so, but because I'm going to be talking, it's going to be easier for me to focus on my hands. So as you're doing this, just focus on the sensation on your skin, how it makes you feel, the smell, if your oil has any smell. You can focus also on the temperature, and take your time to massage yourself, your face, your hands, your neck. It can be like me with my roll-on, or it can be with your own hands. And just take your time. And as you're doing this, I'm going to talk to you about self-love and my vision of self-love, which to me is a much more courageous practice that we think. It's a much more deep commitment to have with ourselves. It is a practice that requires awareness, that requires exploring our shadows, exploring our subconscious thoughts, the parts of us that we repressed, our emotions especially, or including the more unpleasant ones, let's say like that. And it involves reclaiming all those shadow parts, shadow emotions, shadow thoughts, and deciding consciously what we do about them, if we want to cultivate them or if we want to transmute them. So self-love is way, to me, more complicated than just applying oil on our skin, even though it starts here, and it's such a very nourishing practice, especially when we don't often take the time to do it. But self-love goes much deeper into what you give to your body for food, what you give to your body as an exercise, relationships. So ultimately, to me, self-love is the ultimate health. It's the ultimate relationship health. It's the ultimate spiritual fulfillment. It's what puts you on your dharma, your life mission, your life path, the way you can serve people the best. So self-love goes so much further than what we can think about or remember. So please remember that what you're doing right now is so crucial for your health, for your relationships, and for your family's health, because they're all going to benefit from you doing this. And self-love to me is like when we love someone else or something or a pet, you have to show that person or that thing that you love them. Otherwise, it's just a nice feeling. But love, I love one of my, a woman that inspired me a lot who says that love is a verb. And that's truly what it is. Love is how can you express that love to the person so that they can receive it. Of course, you're not 100% responsible if they don't receive it, but at least you do your best to communicate it in their language. And talking about languages, how do you find that you receive love the best, and how do you give it also the best? So if you're not familiar with the 5 love languages, I will highly recommend you to read the books. You have plenty of videos on YouTube about this. It's a way of categorizing the way we like to give and receive love. Again, it's not black and white. We have a mix of all 5 in us, but usually we have 1 or 2 that are dominant in us. So those 5 languages are touch, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, and services. So you can give love in all those ways, through a gift, gifting something material to someone, through gifting your time, through gifting service, so doing something for someone that he or she doesn't have to do anymore, touching them, holding them, hugging them, giving them words of affirmation, so compliment, encouragement, sending them poems, letters, things like that. And what I would recommend you is make sure that you have an idea of what is your main love language and speak your own language to yourself. Speak your own language. And if you want to go deeper, in the PDF under this video, I'll offer you all the ways you can give love to yourself as a mama through those 5 love languages. So you can choose, depending on what are your main ones, how to give yourself love. And of course, it doesn't mean that you only have to give those yourself to yourself. It can be asking others to give you that type of love. And it's even more powerful. It's hard, but it's even more powerful to be able to resource people if they want to do it, of course. But if they are wanting to do it, it means that it's a reciprocal relationship where they get something from giving you something and vice versa. So don't take self-love as something that you have to do by yourself, that is like a solitary action or solitary practice. It's totally not. Self-love extends to how other people treat you as well, because ultimately they're going to learn how to love you through how you love yourself. Please remember that. If you can write it somewhere in your house, the world is going to learn how to love you through how you love yourself. So if you show your kids that you put some oil on yourself, that you give yourself some quality time, that you speak yourself words of encouragement, of gratitude, of celebration of your success, what they're going to learn is, oh, I can do this too, but I can do this to my mom if I want to help her feel better, for example, or feel loved. So it's so beautiful, I think, to see that how you treat yourself is ultimately inspiring to everyone around you and how they're going to treat you. So we're going to take our cacao. You can swirl it a little bit. Create a vortex in your cacao. And I'll invite you to close your eyes. You're going to focus your attention on where you are sitting right now and how your skin is touching the ground, how your body is touching the ground or the chair or the couch. And feeling like if the earth was holding you in her hand. So you're not passively sitting, you're being actively supported, held by the earth. She wants you here. And you're going to let this energy coming from the earth rising up your spine, your belly, your chest, and it's going to settle somewhere in your heart, maybe circling, radiating, shining, protecting. And this energy is going to be here to nourish your intention today, to nourish more self-love, more love towards yourself. And you can also ask Cacao, who's going to be here with us today, to reveal to you what part of you, what aspect of you needs more love right now. you're gonna imagine that this intention is traveling from your heart through your arms, your hands that are doing so much for you and for your family. And they're gonna communicate that intention to your cup. I'll invite you as well to connect to your top of your head and imagining that it's open to the sky, to the above, receiving information, receiving protection, receiving water when it's raining, receiving light. And as you imagine that this part of your head opens, you can see this loving energy coming from above, down in your head, the back of your neck, your spine, and all the way down into your chest, where it's going to meet the earth energy. Maybe they have two different colors and they dance together. They're both here to support you, connect you to the above and the below. You're going to bring your cacao cup close to your mouth. Smell this medicine plant, this medicine wise woman who's here with us to help us transmute, help us open our hearts, soften us, so that we can cultivate more love towards ourselves and ultimately towards the world. You can now take your first sip of cacao and keep it in your mouth to taste all the flavors, the texture, the temperature. Imagine that cacao is traveling from your mouth, down your throat, into your belly, into your whole body. Cacao opens our blood vessels to help things traveling through it more efficiently. It's a catalyst for everything in our blood, and our blood is life itself. You can take a second sip and continue drinking at your own rhythm. And I'll invite you to keep your eyes closed, and we're going to do a little practice that I love. It's called the Trojan horse, and I heard of it from one of my teachers. She recommended that if self-love is something hard for us to accept, to receive, because it's been very hard on us, like shame, because we've been shaming ourselves, because we've been shamed by others, because it's hard for us to love ourselves. One practice that we can do is this. Trojan horse is taking your cup of cacao and using cacao or whatever liquid, water, pure water works really well. Water is a vessel for information. So whatever you put in it, it's gonna take it with it and transport it wherever you want to have it. So if you drink it, it's going to come into your system, especially once your body absorbs it into the cells, etc. So you can condition or inform water with whatever you want. You can use words, music, thoughts, colors. You can put it in the earth, under the moon, as I recommended you. You can do this during this full moon, for example, in the sunlight. And what we're going to do today is the self-love or loving Trojan horse, which means that we're going to infuse our water with love. And sometimes it's hard to love ourselves because we feel ashamed, because we feel we're not enough, because we just never learned that loving ourselves is actually good for us. It's been said to be egotistical or something like this. But it's usually way easier to love others, especially our children. But you can take whoever feels very easy for you to love. It can be a pet, it can be a partner, it can be your kids. And I'll invite you to think about one and bring that person to your mind with all the details. How they're dressed, their hair, their smile, their eyes, their voice, their smell. How they feel when you hug them. And you can imagine that all this love you feel for that person is being poured in your cup. You can list everything you love about that person. It can be their beauty. It can be a skill that they have, how funny they are, how brave they are, how strong they are. And really let this love take over your whole body and pour into your cup. And you can pause this video if you want to take more time. The longer the better. Otherwise, you can bring your cup to your mouth and take a sip very consciously, seeing this love that you poured in it coming into your body. You can let all the sensation in your body take over. Maybe you feel stronger, maybe you feel more radiant. Maybe you want to strengthen your spine as you feel all this love pouring into you. So you can keep drinking this cup full of love throughout this ritual. And please feel free to repeat that every single day, several times a day, especially if you feel a little down, if you feel like you're not doing good enough, that you're not being good enough. It happens to me for sure. So this practice has really been, I don't want to say a life changer, but it has been a life changer for me to have this dedication to self-love through a way that it was easier for me, because it is through loving another person, for me, my daughter, for example. But yeah, if you wanted a practice that helps you love yourself more, but it's hard for you to actually give yourself love, this practice is for you, because it's so simple, accessible. You can do it whenever, wherever, even with kids around. You can even teach your kids to do it too. And I was talking about this notion of resisting self-love, kind of, no, but I don't really deserve it, or I don't have time for it, or it's so hard for me to imagine that I love myself right now because I feel so ashamed about myself. That's why I offered you this practice. And usually the opposite of self-love, what I find, is shame. Shame has a purpose. The purpose of shame is to repress or take apart a part of us that is not quote-unquote lovable. So we've learned this way back in our life, and it's probably been given to you by our elders in our family tree, but usually even in our own life, we learn that there are aspects of us that are lovable and others that are not lovable. And if you want to be more aware of that with yourself, I invite you to make a list of what makes a good person and what makes a not good person. Just to give you a funny example of mine, in my list, a good person doesn't speak too loud. A good person doesn't show off. A good person doesn't brag. And once I realized that, I was first shocked, because I realized what conditions my everyday life. And then I was able to reclaim that and say, no, if I want to speak loud, I can do that too, and still being lovable. And it's been a really eye-opening practice for me to do, and I will invite you to do the same thing. But if you feel a lot of shame about yourself, it means that many parts of yourself have been set aside because they're quote-unquote not lovable. So yeah, when I say that self-love is a practice of bravery, of courage, that's really what it means. It's a practice of going into our own basement and reclaiming all those parts that we set aside because we thought that they were not lovable, that they were not valued by society. Another practice that I would highly encourage you to do is writing a love letter to yourself. It can be writing a love letter to your present self. It can be writing a love letter to your past self, for example, to your child self or your teenage self, to your future self as well. Or it can be something that I love even more, is putting yourself in the shoes of your future self. So considering that we are 20, 30, 40 years ahead, and you look back at right now, what you're experiencing right now, and you write your letter to yourself of the present. So your future self writes a letter to your present self. I hope that's more clear. That's a beautiful practice because it helps you having detached from what is happening to you right now and have a broader perspective on your life. So if you want, you can do that practice right now or later when you have more time and you want to take more space to do that. What I'm going to offer you is a little bit of sound, a little bit of music, of healing vibrations. If you want, you can lay down, you can just keep your cacao with you, keep drinking. You can write this letter if you feel called to do it right now. Just receive, and if you need to go ahead and move on with your day because you're a busy mama like most of us, feel free to go ahead and do what you have to do. You can keep the sound on if you want to and do your own chores. Take care of your kids if you have to do it right now. Otherwise, I will invite you to relax, to receive. And if you yourself have a bow, but even more a voice, which you have. If you have a voice that you want to use right now to chant with me, I would love to have you with me chant. It's even more powerful when we're doing this together. And I will chant a mantra as you are used to it, maybe if you do those cacao ritual with me. I love to chant very simple, what we call beige mantra. Not simple as not very efficient. They're actually the opposite. They're very, very powerful. But they're simple to pronounce and to chant because they're one syllable most of the time, only a few letters. And the mantra of the heart chakra is yum. So it's like when you say yum, when it's yummy. I love that mantra for that reason. So I'm going to chant that mantra with the bowl, so you can join me or just receive whatever feels the most loving for you right now. This mantra resonate in your body. Feel what it creates in your mind, in your physical body, in your emotional body. Thank you for taking this time for yourself. It's one step on this beautiful journey towards more love for yourself and ultimately for the world. Remember that the earth wants you to thrive, the sky wants you to thrive, your family needs you to thrive, and you deserve to thrive. Let us know in the comments under this video what is one part of you that you want to reclaim, that you want to love a little more today, and what practice you're gonna give yourself to do so. I would love to see that and encourage you on your path and support you, and you're gonna see that so many other moms are on the same journey, and it's not an easy one, but my hope is that doing this together is going to support us to love ourselves and each other even deeper and more holistically with all the parts of ourselves, even including those that have been repressed. If you still have some cacao, feel free to take sips at your own rhythm. I'm gonna stop the ritual right now, but you can keep it open if you want to include more practices, more journaling, more oracle cards pulling. So for your cards, if you don't have any deck, you can literally pick any book in your library and open it randomly, and you will have a message. So you can ask what is one part of you that that needs more love right now, and receive the message. You can also ask what practice would help me to love myself more. You can ask as well what is preventing me from giving myself more love. There's so many ways to use decks and books in that way, but yeah, those are a few examples of how you can ask for support, for guidance. And remember to download the PDF document that is under this video that is going to go into a more deep ritual with self-love and cacao. So you have journal prompts, what self-love, how you can take it further, how cacao is supporting you on that path, literally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Again, please remember to say hi in the comments and give us one aspect of yourself that you need or want to give more love to, how you're going to do it with your practice. Say hi to all the other mamas that are doing this ritual with you right now. And thank you again so much for being here with me. Remember to subscribe to this channel to see more of those, to like this video to help support this channel, and take great care of yourself. Take great care of your family, and I'll see you very soon in a new ritual or a new video. Bye bye.